Now, knowing you, I know that you're aware of the things that people are saying. You're moving up in two-weight classes. You're the smaller man. Whatever you do, Terence Crawford, don't exchange against them. What do you feel you have to do?
Be myself. I'm 41-0 for a reason.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Mayweather was undefeated for the last half of his career.
For more than 20 years, Floyd Mayweather's flawless 50-0 record was seen as untouchable. Inside the ropes, he was a phantom, an elusive technician who made even great fighters seem average. But then came a night that changed the conversation forever. With just one powerful statement from the only man who shared the ring with both, the foundation of Mayweather's legacy suddenly felt shaken. The discussion was no longer only about who held the edge, it was about whether Mayweather's reign had just been overshadowed. The spark was lit the moment Terence Crawford's arm was raised in victory over Canelo Alvarez, following a performance so precise and dominant that many had once thought it couldn't be done.
Terence Crawford is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance. He had poise in the ring, he wasn't rattled. He backed up and moved when necessary and kept us different. He exchanged enough to gain respect when necessary. It was a brilliant, masterful fight.
The real surprise, however, came afterward at the post-fight press conference. When reporters pressed Canelo to weigh in on how Crawford compared to his former rival Floyd Mayweather, he didn't stall or mince words. With the entire media watching closely, his response was direct and unshaken.
You can compare and contrast the fight between yourself and Floyd Mayweather Jr. and tonight's bout with Terence "Bud" Crawford, if you can.
No, I think Crawford is way better than Floyd Mayweather.
Coming from the only fighter alive who had gone toe-to-toe with both, it wasn't just a casual remark, it was a bombshell that shook the boxing world. That single comment reignited a debate that had quietly lingered for years, and now it was about to pull some major voices into the discussion. Among them was Stephen A. Smith, who had been watching closely from the sidelines. Like many observers, he expected Crawford to rely on slick movement and outside boxing to neutralize the size and strength of his opponent. But what unfolded in the ring was something entirely different.
Well, I appreciate Crawford making my prediction come through. Coming into the fight, I had him winning by decision. I thought he was the superior boxer. I thought he would be able to take a punch. And as long as he didn't stay there and exchange with Canelo, I thought he could do it. What surprised me is that there were times during the fight, he did stand there and exchange with Canelo and took it. Took some body shots to the liver. Took some headshots. Exchanged. And still ended up winning this fight. I thought from the 8th round on, he just put on a boxing clinic. But I gotta give credit where credit is due.
Smith watched in amazement as Crawford did more than just withstand the pressure. He walked straight into it. Instead of shying away, he traded punches with Canelo, showing not only sharp technique but also incredible toughness. What impressed Smith most was Crawford's willingness to stay in the pocket and fight back, something he hadn't expected at all. In his breakdown of the bout, Smith explained that after 9 rounds, he had Crawford narrowly ahead 5-4. But in the championship rounds, Crawford shifted into another gear, putting on a masterclass to sweep the final 3 frames convincingly. He handled Canelo's power, answered with his own, and excelled in situations where most fighters moving up in weight would have faltered.
Crawford's a special fighter because he's got a mean streak. He doesn't back up from anything. He's usually the superior boxer in the ring. He finds a way to win. No matter who he's going up against, no matter what power you have, what boxing skills you have, he is truly a generational kind of fighter. He wants to go in the ring and not just beat you. but show you he was a better man. And he's not one who believes that just a knockout does that. He likes outboxing you and showing you that his skill level is superior to yours. And he showed it tonight.
Stephen A. called the showing a masterclass, giving Crawford high praise for the way he dismantled a bigger opponent. Still, as impressed as he was, he stopped short of declaring Crawford the new standard. In his eyes, there was still another figure, a different kind of genius in the ring, a ghost-like presence who once ruled the sport. That Crawford, for all his grit and brilliance, had not yet replaced.
Mayweather was undefeated for the last half of his career with one hand. He constantly broke his hand.
Yeah.
He would go into a ring knowing he had no shot at knocking somebody out because his hands were hurt too much, and literally walked in the ring and said, I'm gonna embarrass you and humiliate you by showing the world you can't hit me.
This was the point where Stephen A. Smith drew his line in the sand, making a distinction that shifted the entire conversation. He reminded fans that Floyd Mayweather was unlike anyone else, a defensive puzzle, a strategist whose brilliance lay in winning while barely taking damage. With hand injuries that plagued much of the latter part of his career, Floyd understood he couldn't depend on knockout power to secure victories. That limitation wasn't speculation. It was a well-recorded reality throughout his time in the sport.
Mayweather looks me in my face and he says, I'm gonna take him out about the 8th or 9th round. And I said, your hand's always broken. You ain't known for your punching power since you moved up from lightweight to welterweight. Why are you so sure you're gonna do this? He says, Stephen A., he's a UFC fighter. He said, and he's a striker. He's accustomed to coming at you and throwing punches. What he's not accustomed to doing is punching while he's throwing backwards, while he's moving backwards and pushing you off of him. He says, I'm gonna walk right into him and stay in his chest. He's gonna have to push me off in order to throw his punches. He said he's gonna be circling the ring. He said by around 4 or 5, he's not gonna have any legs. He's gonna be done. And he said, and I'll just toy with him and keep him around until around the 8th or the 9th round. And that is exactly what Floyd Money Mayweather did. He told me exactly what he was gonna do, and he did it.
He's the man.
Even Mayweather acknowledged the issue himself, openly admitting that his hands were fragile. He even revealed that before the Conor McGregor bout, the damage was so severe he couldn't spar for an entire month leading up to the fight.
You hurt your hand? Huh? I thought you hurt your hand. How about so? Okay. All right. Relax, baby. The job is done. All right.
Put in a bucket of ice, man.
Yeah.
Get a bucket of ice. It's killing me.
I'm saying Shane hit me with a hell of a shot. Okay. Actually, 2 shots.
Oh, okay.
But even in that particular round, what I said to Shane was this. I was like,
you just said something to him when you grabbed him.
I said, you got to kill me.
Oh, shit. I wasn't ready, Floyd.
I said, that was a good one. I said, that was a good one, but you got to kill me.
Wow.
I said, you got to kill me. And did I mean, I'm not going to lie, I meant it.
Adding another layer of controversy, many reports over the years have pointed out that during the latter stages of his career, Mayweather fought almost exclusively in Las Vegas, one of the few jurisdictions where fighters could use numbing injections, such as xylocaine, to manage hand pain. This suggested that his ongoing hand problems weren't just a minor inconvenience, but a key factor in shaping where and how he competed. Even so, within those parameters, he remained untouchable.
Rocky Marciano was 49-0. Before Floyd got to 50-0, he was the heavyweight champ. Did anyone ever consider Rocky Marciano the GOAT? No, not seriously, no. Why would Floyd be considered the GOAT? Because he beat more fighters than Rocky did, more great ones? That's true. But really, Floyd was careful in the way he selected opponents. Don't get that twisted. It's not that Floyd didn't fight a lot of great fighters. He did. It's not that I don't think he would have beaten a lot of the tougher fighters than he fought. I think he probably would have, but he didn't do it. He waited. He waited till Pacquiao wasn't at his best anymore. He didn't fight Margarito when Margarito was tearing everyone up. He waited for the right time to fight people. He got paid twice as much for fighting Pacquiao in a less dangerous fight than he would have had he fought him when everyone wanted to see him fight. Floyd is among the all-time greats, but he ain't number one.
Trainer Greg Hackett reinforced this perspective, pointing out that the version of Floyd who faced Canelo was a fully refined fighter, showcasing a flawless and disciplined style. He contrasted that with Crawford, whose approach, though effective, he described as more unpredictable and raw by comparison.
I can't say he's capping. I can't, because I don't know what he felt. But when I heard that, what I think is, when Floyd beat me, I was 23, I wasn't polished. When Bud beat me, I was I was the man. I was the man. And he beat me fair and square. He beat me at my game and he beat me at his game. That's why Canelo said that. Do I believe that? It's tough to believe. But I can only take Canelo's word because he's the man that's been in the ring with both of them. But I understand why he said it. I was a kid when I fought Floyd. He wasn't a kid literally, but he was young. He was young. There was a lot he didn't know. There was a lot he didn't understand about boxing that he later on learned and got better. But Bud beat the better version of me, even though it's the ran down version. I'm saying that because it is some wear and tear there with Canelo. I've been saying it the whole time. When a guy got almost 70 fights in current time, with all those big camps he's been doing and all that, trust me, it's some wear and tear there. I'm not making excuses for Canelo. I'm just saying.
I don't know. That's what it gives it that air.
I also think you got to remember when you talking about a Mexican fighter, they big on punishment. He might also feel Crawford punches harder than Floyd and took more chances than Floyd took. Floyd really was super speed that night. Everything speed. And it irritated Canelo because Canelo couldn't do what he wanted to do. And he looked nothing like himself. Like I said, I think it was just times where Canelo felt like, damn, I could have had him. With Floyd, I think he felt like paralyzed. Like, damn, I can't catch this motherfucker. He too fast. But with Crawford, I felt like he maybe was saying, damn, I could have, if I would have threw this, or if I would have did that. You know what I mean? Because it was times Crawford sat there and caught a punch and countered back. You know what I'm saying? He let Canelo throw, like, go ahead, throw your shit. He caught that shit, boom, and come right back with the hook. The same shot he caught Earl with. He was touching Canelo with some of that same shit, man. And it was just like, and it was times where Crawford was imposing himself on Canelo. He was stepping to Canelo at times. He didn't do it the whole fight, but I'm just saying it was times he stepped to him. Floyd did too, but Floyd just was so fast, so much faster. And the education was like totally different. Like when Canelo fought Floyd, Canelo was in middle school. He wasn't even, you know what I'm saying? Floyd by that time was already a Harvard graduate, you know what I'm saying? So,
as Stephen A. himself put it,
sit up there and say that. I think that Floyd Mayweather was such a magician defensively. And we have to look at Floyd Money Mayweather in this regard. Once he moved up to welterweight, his hands were always damaged. So he kind of knew he wasn't going to be able to knock you out for the most part. And still, he walked into the ring and put on masterful performances because he was so superior, skill-wise and defensively. Can't say enough. Tonight with Crawford, for example, we saw him take a punch on several occasions. With Floyd, we didn't see that too often because you couldn't hit him. That's the difference.
Crawford, by contrast, absorbed Canelo's shots and showed he had both the chin and the toughness to withstand them. Yet, in Stephen A.'s eyes, the very need to prove that toughness was what set him apart from Mayweather. Still, before the back and forth grew too intense, many observers pointed to a broader reality. The two men came from different eras. This wasn't only a conversation about skill, but about time and context. Crawford himself echoed that sentiment with humility, saying, "Floyd was the best of his generation, and I believe I'm the best of mine."
He just got something that I want.
And it's not just the title, it's what else?
It's everything. He got everything. And I'm coming to get it.
When you beat him, you'll have everything?
That's right.
This angle brings an important layer of perspective. Greatness isn't a straight line, but something tied to the era in which a fighter rules. Age also makes the comparison more complex. Floyd's uncle Jeff Mayweather pointed out that Floyd was already 36 and past his absolute peak when he met a young Canelo. That detail makes it far harder to directly compare him to a prime Crawford, taking on a fully seasoned version of the same opponent.
Also, if we remember, Canelo at that time was a razor-thin decision. Floyd won, majority decision. C.J. Ross had it with what a lot of people had as a draw. And then the other two judges scored it for Floyd, of course.
Yeah, nobody had it.
And that was a Floyd at the top of his game with a very green Canelo with very little experience, and he took him, into deep waters. So
what was Canelo? What, 20-something? 20 what? 23, 25?
Yeah, he was. Very, very young in the game, obviously.
Very young. He had more fights than Floyd. and you lost.
Yeah,
To a
but
man that was 30-something years old, 36.
well, Floyd was clearly at the top of his career, and Canelo had fought a lot of people. But
How you at the top of your career in your prime? You in your prime. You ain't in your prime when you're at 36.
It shifts the debate away from a direct head-to-head comparison and instead highlights two champions, each reigning supreme in their own distinct era of boxing history.
We had a lot of comparisons between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. We've even had the conversation to go as far as who would win in a fight between Terence and Floyd. And I truly don't know the answer to that question.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah. Who will win that fight?
Floyd.
Floyd will win that
Yes,
fight.
sir. I love you, Terrence.
Always figures it out.
Yeah,
He's a chess master.
Yeah, his IQ in
But
that
the
shit
funny
is
thing
crazy.
about it is Terrence has been the only other guy that people can say he always figures it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true.
But you gotta have an OG somewhere.
Anybody else? Yeah.
There's an OG
Somebody got
somewhere.
a pioneer, right? Yeah, you gotta.
There's an OG you can't out-figure out somewhere. And I just
yeah.
believe Floyd is that OG you can't out-figure out.
The debate about their primes and contrasting defensive styles may never have a clear answer. But one fact stands beyond dispute. Terence Crawford has an extraordinary accomplishment on his resume, something Floyd Mayweather never managed to achieve.
Accomplishments, he's three division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
By overcoming Canelo, Crawford carved his place in history as the first male fighter ever to become the undisputed champion in 3 separate weight classes. The magnitude of this win was so great that prominent boxing voices, including Turki Alalshikh, immediately hailed him as the fighter of the century. To put that into perspective, while Mayweather captured titles in an impressive 5 divisions, he never held all 4 belts in any single weight class. Crawford, on the other hand, unified every championship across 3 divisions, a staggering contrast that speaks volumes about how their careers will be remembered. This wasn't chance. Crawford later explained that his preparation was laser-focused, with his camp prioritizing strength and conditioning to withstand everything Canelo could throw at him. That dedication paid off, etching his name in the record books with an achievement even Money Mayweather couldn't match. But their differences go beyond titles. They also lie in the way each man navigated his career. Mayweather was more than just a boxer. He was the architect of his own empire. As analyst Max Kellerman highlighted, once Floyd moved past lightweight, his career became a masterclass in control. He handpicked opponents, dictated timing, and managed every business move, ensuring each fight maximized reward while minimizing unnecessary risk.
Wild, because if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior welterweights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times.
That carefully managed strategy hasn't gone without criticism, especially from today's rising stars. Ryan Garcia, one of the sport's current headliners, offered a blunt assessment, arguing that Mayweather perfected the art of timing opponents, choosing exactly when to face them and when to steer clear. In Garcia's view, this approach hurt the sport, as it often meant avoiding fighters who were still in their absolute prime.
About skid Ryan Garcia. Tank got his followers from kicking. Ryan Garcia got his followers from YouTubers. There's a difference. So you want to be a YouTuber or you want to be a fighter? Tank is a fighter.
How did Gervonta know that my rib got separated while I was in the fight? Or before the fight? How do you think they got the information? You got to pay. Who do you think told me that they paid? So I know how much money it takes to betray Ryan Garcia. I know a little glimpse.
Crawford, by contrast, has built his reputation on taking on all challengers, determined to prove his supremacy against anyone put in front of him. When comparing him to Mayweather in a prime versus prime scenario, the physical numbers tell part of the story. Crawford stands an inch taller and, more importantly, owns a 3-inch reach advantage, a crucial edge in a technical contest that even a peak Mayweather might have found difficult to neutralize. His resume reflects years of persistence, as both fans and critics watched him call out the very best, showing no hesitation in pursuing tough matchups. Beyond that fearless mindset, experts and former champions often highlight the physical gifts that set him apart. As Hall of Famer Shane Mosley once noted,
Crawford is better. It would have been a tough fight, but I think Crawford would have the edge over Mayweather because of the long arms and because it's bigger. But Mayweather is definitely a technician. I mean, like Crawford said, Mayweather has zero, and Crawford, this is zero.
If Mayweather was the architect constructing a flawless, impenetrable fortress, then Crawford has been the conqueror, storming into any territory and claiming it as his own. Still, despite Crawford's historic rise, not everyone in the boxing world buys into the comparison. Some critics argue that the only link between the two is their shared greatness as black champions, insisting that stylistically they couldn't be further apart. One blunt analyst even remarked that beyond their skin color, there's no real similarity at all. These skeptics point out that Crawford seems to embrace the chaos of a fight. He'll take punches, taunt opponents with his tongue out, drop his hands, and willingly trade in the pocket. Mayweather, by contrast, built his entire philosophy around the opposite approach. Sharp reflexes, surgical counters, and perhaps the sharpest defensive IQ the sport has ever seen. To these voices, the comparisons feel less like fact and more like fan-driven hype, born out of a desire to anoint a new heir to Floyd's throne. And if the in-ring debates weren't enough, the Crawford-Canelo superfight brought its own storm of controversy before the first punch was even thrown. Concerns swirled over the appointed judges, who happened to be the same ones involved in Manny Pacquiao's infamous draw, raising fears that their scoring style might lean in Canelo's favor. The drama didn't stay.
Jordan, we're switching the bat.
Huh?
We're definitely switching our bat.
Oh my
what?
God.
What you mean?
No.
Don't stay with Canelo. We're going Crawford.
If he's saying that, everybody.
Jordan, we're switching the bet. We're definitely switching. That single moment became fuel for conspiracy theories, adding yet another layer of intrigue to Crawford's already historic triumph. So where does that leave us? The echoes of greatness are never simple. On one side stands Floyd Mayweather, the undefeated defensive mastermind, the strategist who crafted not only a flawless record, but also an empire outside the ring. On the other is Terence Crawford, the fearless, adaptable warrior who etched his name in history as the first man to unify 3 weight divisions, taking on all comers with relentless determination. Stephen A. Smith's caution wasn't just about a hypothetical fight. It was about redefining what greatness truly means. Is it the untouchable artist who left the sport without ever showing weakness? Or is it the conqueror who walked through fire, dismantled every obstacle, and proved nothing was impossible? The ultimate answer may not lie solely in their records, but in how each man expanded the limits of belief inside the ring. That wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss what's next. And don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you. Stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.